You're listening to Financial Advisor Marketing, the best show on the planet for financial advisors who want to get more clients without all the stress. You're about to get the real scoop on everything from lead generation to closing the deal. James is the founder of theadvisorcoach.com, where you can find an entire suite of products designed to help financial advisors grow their businesses more rapidly than ever before. Now, here is your host, James Pollard.
Welcome to Financial Advisor Marketing, my financial advisor marketing family. I call you my fam. I'm going to add the ILY this week because I love you. And hopefully you love me too. And we're one big happy family. Gosh darn it. And today we're going to talk about exactly what the freaking title says, becoming more organized, which is actually one of my strong suits. And I've taken many personality tests. I've taken StrengthsFinder by Gallup. I've taken Colby. I've taken so many different ones, and I consistently rank it like the top for organization, which is pretty cool. And I take great pride in keeping my office organized and clean. Like, my house is nice and tidy. I actually like to straighten things up and organize while listening to audiobooks, so it just works out for me. Yeah, I mean, why not, right? I mean, is that something you do, Producer Jonathan?
Here's what I'm wondering. When you're saying all that, I'm saying, is this guy just covering up his OCD? Like, making it a virtue?
Maybe. You never know. I don't have to touch everything in a hotel room before I check out. I know some people who have to do that. I've always thought that was a little weird. We're all a little OCD, at least at some level. At least that's what I believe. But yeah. I am not one of those types that has to touch everything no. But I do keep things clean. I do clean my granite countertops every day. That's the OCD that I have. And I can already feel like with this episode, it'll probably get a small amount of downloads. This probably be one of the least listened to episodes because it doesn't have some sexy title like clickbait or whatever. People are going to see this and they're going to think, become more organized. I don't need to listen to that. And then they'll just skip it. But I really wish all financial advisors would listen to this episode, because I'm going to share some good ideas that can help their businesses run more smoothly. Because I found that organization, even if it's in your personal life, in your office, your house, whatever, it helps your business operate at a higher level. And at the bottom of it, organization is about structuring. It's about following order. It's about making things easier to process, easier to do, reducing the friction. And for example, I don't want to go off on a tangent on organization, but by cleaning your desk at the end of the day, you actually reduce the friction for getting things started the next day. If you get down to inbox 0, you're reducing the friction the next day because you can start fresh. You've got a clean slate. This has worked wonders for me in my own personal life. So the first step to becoming more organized is actually to declutter. And this doesn't have to be done by itself. You can declutter as you go through some of the other things I talk about, but you want to get rid of the things that you don't need or you don't use anymore, because it helps you streamline your business. And I want to explain how I would do it. First, I would start with my desk. Just like I said, I would clear everything off the top. I would make everything look nice and clean. I would clear everything out of the drawers. I would go through everything. I would sort through all of the clutter in my desk, and I would get rid of everything that I didn't need. Everything. Like, I would just burn all the bridges. If I don't need it, it's gone. It's trash. It's shredded. And if you're using a shredder, make sure you use a micro cut shredder. Don't use a spaghetti shredder, Jonathan. Because
I got it. The diamond cuts, right?
Exactly. The Russians can steal your data, Jonathan.
They don't want my data.
That's the new thing now.
Here's what's funny, man. You say declutter, and I can't help it. The first thing I thought you were going to say is cut out the other people and the other podcasts that aren't helping you, but you went in a totally different direction.
Sure. Well, I don't necessarily want people to cut out the podcast, because it's just a different flavor entirely. This is just entertainment. Now, sure, you can pick up a gem here and there, but primarily entertainment. So if you're one of those types that goes to different podcasts to get an education, I don't know why you would do that. But if you're one of those types, then please continue listening to the other podcasts for your education. And when you're ready for some entertainment, come here. But I'll leave you with this. There's a reason why Netflix makes billions and billions and billions, and Udemy and Lynda, the LinkedIn learning platform, don't make as much. There's a reason why entertainers get paid more than teachers. You've got to realize this. And if you can incorporate entertainment into your business, more power to you. And enough with this stream of consciousness crap. Let's get back to organization. I need to get my thoughts organized, Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
So back to the desk. I personally like to keep my own desk as clean as possible. There's nothing on there except a coaster for my drink. And my coasters are actually, they look like 12 gauge shotgun shells.
Neat.
That's true. My mouse, which is an MX Master 2. It's one of the nicest. Is it mouses or mice? I don't know what the plural is when you're talking about computers. It's one of the nicest ones. And I've got my keyboard. That's it. I don't keep books. I don't keep papers. I don't keep any of that on my desk. It's clean. And when I used to visit financial advisors one-on-one for like consulting and stuff, don't really do that anymore. I would see them with like junk all over their desk. And they would talk about how they couldn't get anything done. And I'm just like, no wonder. Of course, I couldn't get anything done with that. Because some people, they view like the advisor coach or James Pollard. He's got this podcast and this stuff. And they assume that, like, rightfully or wrongfully so, they assume that I'm somehow better or more talented or whatever. Like, I'm not. Like, I'm actually way less talented than most of the people out there. I mean, I could barely get my own shoes on in the morning. But when you got financial advisors who just clutter their desk and got papers and crap everywhere, it's just like, of course you can't get anything done. Superman couldn't get things done in this freaking office. So clear off the crap. And another important thing you can do when it comes to organization is implement a system for your incoming papers. So, and this could be applied to email as well. So when stuff comes in, you got to sort it every day. You either trash it, you delegate it, you do it immediately, or you file it. And some people call the circular file the trash. And the same is true about email management in general. There are systems out there that can help you do this, but I'm talking about your actual desk. You want to keep your desk as clean, as organized as possible. I would also take some time to clean up your computer. I mean, my God, this is a boring topic, but this is really going to help financial advisors. Now, I just did this a couple of weeks ago, and this is what I did. I uninstalled any software that I no longer used. I created brand new file folders for my documents, and I organized them there. And that took forever because I've got so many different files. I've got so many different rabbit holes on my computer, different products, different projects I'm working on, different collaborations. I just created brand new file folders. I've just organized everything there. And an area where I found this to be really beneficial is with your receipts in your bookkeeping. So I've got a folder on my computer that says receipts. And then I've got a file for the podcast factory when Jonathan bills me. I've got a file for my software. I've got a file for USPS because I do a lot of mail. I've got a file for, I mean, you name it, just different services and contractors and businesses that I use. I've got files with their receipts. So if I ever need to produce a receipt or an invoice or anything like that, I could just use the search function or I can click through the different files and it is organized. I will tell you once again, that was an absolute nightmare. It was a pain in the butt to do, but my life has been so much better ever since I've done that. I strongly encourage financial advisors to do the same because they've got so many different clients, so many different prospects, so many different variables of their business that depends on being on their computer, whether it's cloud software or it's local storage, it doesn't matter. Being organized makes things way, way better. Now, another thing I did, I deleted the files I no longer used or needed. So I said goodbye to all my Britney Spears and NSYNC songs.
Nice.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of tangent, we're going to go on. We're going to take a little ride here on tangent land. I watched a documentary about Britney Spears, and I think it was called Breaking Point. And you remember the whole shebang back in the day when she like shaved her head.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, oh man, the paparazzi and the media, they were going hard on her and I felt so bad. You know, I wasn't like, leave her alone. but that documentary, if you get a chance to watch it, just Google Britney Spears Breaking Point. If you know anyone with like mental health issues, if they've got problems or if they're struggling, like watch that. It's going to give you some clues. It's going to help you. But man, Britney Spears came back harder than ever. She was on top of the world a couple years later. So kudos to her. That shows that you never give up. You keep believing that you are who you are. You stay true to your values. And Britney Spears came back and she said, "It's Britney, bitch." And it sure was. It sure was Britney, bitch.
Love it.
Next, back to the computer stuff. I defragmented my hard drive and ran disk cleanup. If you got a Mac, you don't really need to do this. But if you have a Windows, yes, it can be beneficial. I know some computer nerds are going to reach out to me and be like, it's not necessary. You don't need to do that. But I will tell you personally, my computer boots up faster. It's easier to use. Stuff's easier to find. And speaking of computers, let me give you one of my absolute favorite organization tips. And that is start using a password manager. And I know, producer Jonathan, you use LastPass, correct?
The company uses LastPass. I personally use RoboForms.
Okay, but let me guess why you use LastPass for your company, because the password sharing among contractors and employees is very easy. Yeah. Am I right? Yeah, that's the same reason why I use it. And just aside from passwords and password hygiene and creating strong, unique passwords, one of the reasons you would want to use a password manager if you're someone who has employees and freelancers and contractors is because it allows you to share the password with them, or share access, I should say, without them ever seeing the password, which means that you retain control. You can disable access at any time. I give access to my LinkedIn, to my virtual assistant, email to my virtual assistant, different accounts that she can access, but she never sees the password whatsoever. And if she decides to go rogue and just start posting some stuff that I wouldn't say, I'll be like, goodbye, and just delete that from LastPass. But you need to use a password manager for the password managing functions itself, because something like LastPass, there's a bunch of them out there. There's Bitwarden, there's KeePass, there's Dashlane, there's 1Password. You pick whatever one you want. It allows you to create unique passwords for all of your accounts and keep them in a secure vault. Because if you're using passwords like 1234 or password. Is that funny? That's funny to you. 1234. That's what people use. That's one of the most common ones.
Wow.
Hey, financial advisors. If you're looking for a way to set more appointments with qualified prospects, I invite you to sign up for James's brand new webinar about how financial advisors can get more clients with email marketing. Go to theadvisorcoach.com/webinar to register today. On this webinar, you'll discover why email marketing is able to generate upwards of 4,400% ROI for smart financial advisors, 3 fatal mistakes nearly all financial advisors make with their emails, and the proven 3-step process for converting prospects into booked appointments using email. All you have to do is head on over to theadvisorcoach.com/webinar and register today.
If you're using those, you're putting yourself in unnecessary danger. And the same is true for people who use the same password for multiple accounts. And that's scary, because if someone's able to get your password with one account, they can get into all of your other ones. So if you're using the same password for PNC and Chase and Wells Fargo and Bank of America, if they've got your Bank of America login, they can just go hop on over to PNC. Those darn Russians who's got your data.
They're watching.
I hope I do. Do I have any listeners in Russia? You would know. I don't know.
I don't know, bro.
I'd
have to check that out, though.
Are they even allowed to listen? I know China's got some problems. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But there's a bunch of password managers out there. I'm not going to give any specific endorsement, but I personally use LastPass. Producer Jonathan says he used that, but he uses the other one in his personal life. But what's really cool about these password managers, in addition to sharing with employees, in addition to making your passwords unique, stronger, and securing them in a vault, is, now I don't know about all of them, but I know that LastPass Premium has this feature. It's called Emergency Access. And I want to talk about this because 2 to 3, I think it was 3 weeks ago, a financial advisor reached out to me with a story about his client and about how the client's spouse had passed away and had a lot of different accounts, and there were a lot of problems because they couldn't access them. They couldn't figure out what to do. Things were going wrong. And I know there are services out there that basically consolidate and they serve the same purpose. But the reason that LastPass and I imagine other password managers work really well is because let's say that something happens to you, the financial advisor. Your spouse can request access to your vault, your password vault, essentially. And if you don't decline within like 3 days or 7 days or however long you set it up to be, they get access. And I got to tell you, based on real personal experience, based on being around financial advisors who have collectively tens of thousands of clients, this is a godsend, because if someone is dealing with the death of a spouse or the death of a family member, the last thing they need to do is to be hung up on the phone with different banks and different services and have to write into Facebook and Twitter to close the social accounts. It's something that they don't need to deal with. So if they have access to the password vault, they can go right into Facebook. They can delete the account. They can go right into Chase. They can update the information. They can make whatever changes they need. It is amazing. Next, when it comes to organization, use accounting software. I know that the majority of advisors already do this. They're the numbers types, they're money types, but not everyone knows that you can use apps like Expensify or QuickBooks. You can just scan receipts. And apps like that, they will automatically assign those receipts to the correct transaction. That is how I got so organized, and that's with my receipts, and that's how I had the receipts in the first place. I've seen some people who have like 5 different credit cards, 5 different bank accounts with all types of different things happening in each area. Like, it's goofy. At least those types of apps, if you have that, or if you have multiple businesses, they can help you organize a little bit better, because you can link your credit cards, you can link your bank accounts to these apps, so you can just log into one place and you can keep track of everything. If you've got QuickBooks Self-Employed, you can log into QuickBooks Self-Employed. You can see every single transaction. You can mark it as business or personal. You can upload the receipt. Everything's there. And me personally, I try to run a paperless business. I mean, if I get paper, I upload everything. I just scan it and upload it. Then I shred it in that microcut shredder so the Russians don't get our data. I've got everything digitized. I've got it back up. I use an app called Tiny Scanner to scan things with my phone. There's a bunch of those out there too. There's Genius Scan. There's a lot of them. And I'm wondering, does producer Jonathan have a receipts or invoice management system or bookkeeping that you use?
Bro, my books are such a mess. I'm ashamed.
Hey, well, this is why we're doing this episode.
Yeah.
You got to get yourself a good accountant who will crack the whip if you don't have your stuff in order.
Yeah, I do. I'm working on that.
Yeah, QuickBooks Self-Employed is what I personally use, and it is. I imagine it would be good for you because I know you got your real estate game going strong. You've got the podcast factory. You can link it all together. You can see it. You log in from one place, put the app on your phone, you scan it, and you're good to go. And honestly, QuickBooks, if you're looking for a sponsor, reach out to your boy. And we don't have any sponsors on this show, Producer Jonathan. We don't have any sponsors whatsoever.
Yeah, they might be afraid of getting too close to you with your crazy stories.
Sure. I would get a sponsor for like 1 week, and then they would be like, actually...
I can't believe you said that. We're pulling it.
We rescind. The Russians are 15% of our...
Exactly.
So get that started, get an accountant that'll crack the whip. And I'm actually really impressed. I've gotten all my stuff together so early. I mean, we're recording this in late January, and my tax situation for 2019 is all but wrapped up right now because of organization and because of staying on top.
Nice.
I remember 2 years ago and the year before that, it was like April 13th, and I was just putting the bow on the thing and wrapping it up. So it's a world of difference. And like I said, this is not a sexy topic. I imagine this will be one of the least downloaded episodes, but it's seriously, like, it's done wonders for me. And when I used to do one-on-one consulting with financial advisors, or I was taking on new clients, I should say, this is one of the things that I worked on, because when they organize their books, it's easier for them to operate. And it also means that they're not spending as much time on $10 per hour task or $20 per hour task. Because if you just bite the bullet or eat the frog, as Brian Tracy would say, if you do that and just get your stuff in order, you take a day, you go through all your books, you put the system, it's going to suck for that day, but you're going to save so much time in the long run. You're going to be able to work on a $100 per hour task. You're going to be able to work on a $1,000 per hour task. Then after that, what I would do, and I don't want to keep this episode going for much longer, you want to tame your email inbox. Email is a beast, and not that many people have mastered that beast. They haven't conquered that beast. It just kills me when I see people's phones or laptops and they got like 700 unread messages or whatever. It just maybe I do have some form of OCD because that makes me
yes, sir.
Yeah, that makes me, it gives me anxiety. Like, I will admit. And about 2 years ago, I was one of those people who struggled with this. I'm just giving you my insight, my true story here. I would get about 200 to 300 emails per day. And that number is kind of misleading because I was subscribed to all these different services. It's not like 200 or 300 financial advisors were emailing me every single day. That's not what was happening. It was promotions. It was email lists. It was all this stuff and just 200 to 300 emails. So I just started mass unsubscribing from everything. And there are services out there like unroll.me, which can do this for you, but you got to give them your personal data. When you use a service, if the service is free, you usually are the product. So I would just do it manually. I would go into your email inbox. I would type unsubscribe in that search bar, and you'll see a list of everything that's an email subscription, and you can just go ahead and get rid of it. So make sure you go through your email inbox, unsubscribe different things. You can do that. I know that Outlook has some limitations here. It's just one of the best tips to help you get more organized. It makes me so sad. It gives me all that anxiety when I see these financial advisors have all these emails. Now, another tip, the final one, we'll wrap up this podcast episode about getting organized, is to start creating systems. This is beyond the scope of one episode, right? And you want to really think about this. And I know I talk about systems a little bit in other episodes. You can integrate a process with your CRM that will remind you to do certain things with prospects in order to convert them into clients. For example, you can set it up so that at like day 3, after a prospect entering your CRM, you can send a handwritten note. There'll be a little reminder, hey, send a handwritten note to John Smith. You do it. You can even use a service like Handwritten. It's HANDWRYTTEN. That's a service that lets you send out notes from your computer. It only costs a few bucks. You can get it for you send a note out for $3 or $5 or whatever. Most CRMs will let you set this up automatically. Now, you can't automatically send out the handwritten note, but the reminder itself is automatic. And you start to streamline your business that way. That's just one example of one system that you can set up to make your business more organized. You before you leave for the day, you log into your CRM. You say, I got to do this for John Smith, got to do this for Mary Johnson, got to do this for Joe Brown. You do it. It's just no thought. You don't take it home with you. You don't think about it. You don't stress out about it. And it is done. And I just realized I got a message from producer Jonathan, and he has, you want me to?
That's why I was laughing.
You want me to reveal it to the audience?
I want you to get your OCD on with that. Yeah, of course.
13,000 unread messages for producer Jonathan in producer Jonathan's inbox. Amazing. Like, why even exist? Like, what are you doing with your life? Look,
I'm getting stuff
done. I think it's been, right about 2 years when I got serious about organization stuff. Right about 2 years. I have never, ever, ever went above 100.
Wow.
In 2 years. And that's only because I was on vacation. And yes, I still check my email on vacation. You hate me if you want. So, and speaking of email, as you probably already know, one of my favorite marketing systems is the email marketing system, because you can set up an autoresponder inside of something like MailChimp or ConvertKit, and that email autoresponder will follow up with your prospects automatically, or your leads automatically, I should say. And if you include a link to your online calendar in those emails, as you should, then only the interested prospects will schedule appointments with you, which is a win-win. And if you want to learn more about this, go to theadvisorcoach.com/webinar. And I want to recap some of my favorite ways for financial advisors to become more organized. First, declutter everything. Clean out your desk, clean out your office, tidy everything up. Then make sure you're using a password manager. That is a must. Also, make sure you're using a software or an easier way to keep your accounting and your billing and all that organized. Scan those receipts. Keep those organized too. Don't pay more taxes than you have to. You can't take the deduction if you don't have the receipt. You want to be audit proof. And then finally, tame that wild beast. And this advice goes for some more than others. That is your email inbox. So that is a wrap for this week, producer Jonathan.
That's only if it bothers you. But anyways, what's coming up next time?
Next time will be a very controversial episode. It will be a little bit of talk about how buying leads is like burning money. And this is not going to be a popular episode. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail for this. but I would rather tell financial advisors the truth about buying leads.
Wow. I can't wait. That is another Financial Advisor Marketing. We will be back in your earbuds next time. Thank you for tuning in.
This is the podcastfactory.com.